Alrighty guys, as you can bring us another Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video, hopping in for Season 15. Now before we move on, there's always going to be timestamps in the description below for these kinds of videos. And also, now that we can store up to 25 energy, I'm going to be using all of my energy in one shot, putting it all together in a video with feedback that I used from the last one, right? So it's going to be, we have this guide video, and then I'm going to have a walkthrough video later on in the season once we do get to that 25 energy cap, right? So that's just something to keep in mind for the future. Let's go ahead and get into my top teams for this season. We got some tips and tricks for you guys, as well as new characters. Alright, so the first team I'm going to be talking about is Minions. This is the team that I used last season, and I was able to get to the top 100 with them. I think I ended up like 118, so technically the top 200 and stuff like that. But for a while there, I was in the top 100 with this completely free-to-play team, right? This is obviously the best free-to-play choice in the entire game. I highly recommend this team if you guys got the stars on them. All of these units are returning to Z tier once again for another season, right? You can see right here, I do have this filtered by Z tier. All of these guys are on here. Most important units to bring for this team is definitely going to be the blue Cyberman, because he can generate blue cards pretty much every single fight. There's been times where I've actually had him use 2 blue cards in one fight. And then there's also this yellow Cyberman who is a healer, right? So he heals the entire squad, and so like he doesn't heal specific blocks right there, right? It says that these two, the block above him and the block below him, that is for his cover change, because not only does he heal, he has a cover change for a blast attack, right? And then on top of that, he's also able to heal all allies by 4%. All minion allies, right? That's very important there. All the minion allies. In terms of other units that I do recommend here, I recommend a pool, just because of the fact that he has some really good support. 10% to damage inflicted, as well as 10% to critical rate for all minions or Frieza Force. I do like bringing in Rawberry. I think Rawberry is very good, especially at tanking, and he also can heal himself, so he's going to be very beefy, as well as having a strike cover change for the 3 blocks below, for basically the whole row behind him, right? So he'd be covering this entire section where we have this guy, and this guy. But and then another one that I really like a lot is this Orlin, because he does have blue card generation. Only 10% at the start of each turn, but that will start adding up. It's a lot easier to get your blue cards these days, and you know, he has a really high key restore speed, so he's going to be attacking very early on. And the rest you can kind of just pick and choose. These are kind of the ones that I like to rock with. I'll bring in Ramon right here, or I'll bring in this guy right here, the Tenon Man. The red Cyberman right there, or I'll bring in this Copy Man as well, because I like him. I think he's pretty good. His support, I wish his support was full board. If his support was full board, I'd be a lot more happy with him. But other than that, you know, I feel like this lineup is really solid. Alright, so the next team that I have right here is LOE. So once again, I think basically starting off right already is that Minions were in the last video, LOE was in the last video. Both of these teams are extremely solid, especially because of the fact that they are all Z tier, right? I think that's very important to know. When we look at Lineage of Evil and we're at filtered by Z tier, look at, it's basically the entire team. I truly don't believe any unit is in any other tier besides Z. Okay, these hero units, right? These hero units are definitely unusable. You don't want to be using hero units in the first place. But yeah, so you're gonna get a really good score with this, as long as you do have the stars, right? Because the stars and the zenkais, right? I think stars are absolutely needed, and zenkais are heavily recommended. I think you can get through without the zenkais, but the stars are 100% needed. What I like about this team the most is the damage mitigation they have. Both the LF Frieza, the purple one, the purple LF Frieza, as well as the DBS Frieza, this guy right here, they have a unique ability in which they can inflict, cannot attack for 1 turn, right? So at the start of the first turn, activate special action, which is essentially their green card, and inflicts enemy with can attack for 1 turn. Not only can this Frieza do it, but this Frieza can do it as well. I forget if it's on this ability or if it's on this ability right here, but yeah, it's on the second ability. And then, but this Frieza also has a full board cover change. As always, you can see that on the right hand side, this is generally the formation that people use right here. On the right hand side is just all these zenkais and stuff like that. Ginyu is a surprise. I usually don't see too many EX Ginyus being ran on the LOE team or anything like that, but that is a worthy replacement for me, right? Because I have Chilled on here, and although Chilled has a phenomenal Z ability for LOE, yeah, the unit himself is a little bit lackluster overall. I personally cannot use this team just because of the fact that I do not have all of the zenkais. I don't want to really run it with all of the zenkais. Like I said before, I think the zenkais are not completely needed, but stars are 100% needed, right? And I don't necessarily have the stars. I don't have the new LFRs or anything like that either. So this is kind of like a hard pass for me on this team. I think this team is a little bit more hard to access, but overall, they always do so damn well in this game mode that it's hard to not include them on this list. Alright, so for the next team I want to talk about is going to be movies. So let's actually talk about the person that I have right here on the right hand side first. So Birdku, right? The Abku, whatever you guys want to call him, the yellow movie Goku that recently just came out with the All-Star banners. He is absolutely amazing for movies. He is essentially a healer. Every single time he gets hit, he has a certain range where he's going to be able to heal his allies. And that's exactly, I think this is the correct formation for him, right? Specifically that this guy has right here. So you could potentially have 2 healers on movies, right? Because not only can you use this guy as a healer, but over on my setup right here, I do have the Revival Gohan, who does act as a healer as well as do other support. He offers other support as right, because he offers 30% to special move gauge charge rate for 2 turns for all of your allies, as well as giving them a 15% damage buff at the start of the 3rd turn. So it's pretty nice overall. And then you have the likes of Gokua, and then of course the Bojacks. But I think this is very important to note because the Bojacks are units that I always rave about, specifically because they both have access to blue cards on turn 2. The red Bojack uses his awakened arts on turn 2 at like very early on, and the purple Bojack, he uses it very late. I feel like he uses it at the very end of majority of the lineups just because he has really low key restore speed. Either way, both of the Bojacks are amazing. You have transforming yellow Gohan on here, and you also have the purple Vegeta, who are absolutely amazing as tanks. You definitely need stars, but as you can see right here, you don't really need a lot of zenkais. In fact, there's a lot of these movies teams that I see that are not running any zenkais at all. Obviously, you don't really have a lot in the first place. You can run that movie Broly. I have used the red free-to-play Broly Zenkai unit in the past before, but look at all these units in Z tier as well for movies. There is a lot of units to choose from right here. I've even used this guy in the past. He goes down pretty easily, but his Z ability is still very nice. 28% to sagas from the movies, base strike and blast defense. He also provides a lot of debuffs for the entire team. He also provides a lot of buffs for your own team right here, right? So he buffs all of those blocks right there. Honestly, movies is just always going to be really stacked, and even when you're looking at this is all Z tier units, and when I dip into S, there are also some viable units right here as well. Specifically the Revival Gohan. I would say Revival Gohan is the one that's most sought after for you guys for movies, for an optimal movies team. And this guy can actually be a decent filler unit as well because he does provide buffs to the 2 blocks below him. I've seen him perform well. I've used him and have actually done pretty good with him. Alright, so the next team I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about is going to be Sun Family. So this is a weird Sun Family, right? Sun Family plus Android 18. Now I'm going to go talk about why. So Android 18 is probably one of the best healers in this. I would say one of the best healers, right up there with Super Baby 2, right up there with Angel Vegeta, right? And because of the fact that she has an indiscriminate heal, she also provides debuffs to the enemy team, but this is the most important ability right here. So at the end of the turn, meaning every single turn, she restores allies' health by 3% for 3 blocks, right? For her own block, for the top left, and for the top right block as well. So that's pretty good, as well as giving a damage buff too. So all of that considered, you have a pretty beefy team right here, because you're also going to have this Zenkai Gohan, this blue movie Gohan, who has the ability to go ahead and take all damage for 1 turn, right? So he has the start of the first turn, step into Dad's shoes, he applies the buff effect, enemies focus on this character for 1 turn. So he takes all of the aggro from the entire enemy team for that entire first turn. The reason why this works out so well is because they're constantly healing. Well, Android 18 is constantly healing him while he's taking the damage, but you also got some more damage mitigation over here with this guy, with the Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku, because at the start of the first turn, he activates his green card and can inflict the enemy with can't attack for 1 turn. Another really good unit on here is the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, just because of the fact he gets Zenkai stats and he also has a buff against regeneration, right? Especially, I think this is really good because there's a lot of regeneration just across a lot of teams, right? There's regeneration on movies, there's regeneration just on a variety of teams. So this is one of those abilities that is always, like, will come in handy. It's like when you have an ability that's, you have a buff against hybrids or you have a buff against Saiyans, it's probably going to come in handy, right? So overall, I think this is a really weird team, and I do believe you need the stars. I do believe you need some of the Zenkais, but as you can see right here, this guy is ranked number 2, and he only has his blue Gohan at Zenkai level 2. He doesn't have completely 14 stars on every unit right here. This is just one of those teams that works out fantastically, and I've been seeing it in the leaderboard on and off, and now I'm just seeing it so much that it's actually being implemented in the board, right? Because the way the board works is they start copying some of the teams that people are using, and they start putting them against you, right? So you're gonna see this team one way or another, whether it be in the leaderboard or you're actually going against this team. It's pretty damn good. Alright, so the next team I want to talk about is Regeneration. I honestly think this is a really free-to-play friendly team, right? Especially if you've been playing for a while, you have a lot of resources to invest into this team. You can get that fat boot from the USTR shop and as well from Master Pack tickets. Same thing with Janemba. I'm not sure if Janemba's actually on Master Pack tickets or anything like that, but he literally came out before year 1 anniversary, right? So he's fairly old, and his Zenkai was free as well. So that's basically one of the main selling points of this team right here, is that you have the free-to-play Janemba, you have Super Baby 2, who's basically like the ultimate healer on this, right? He has the heal for GT or Regeneration. Every single turn he's restoring health by 3%, and he also gives you another buff, 30% to health restoration for 2 turns. So he's basically giving like a padded buff, like a padded heal, right? So it's like a buffed up heal. And then Fat Boo, he also is able to heal to the left and to the right of him, just like Baby does, but he only does it once a fight, right? At the end of the second turn, which is still good, right? Because he also heals himself and stuff like that. And then you also have the Boo Tanks, who gets a blue card at the very start of every turn. This is the kind of formation that I like to rock with. And then on the backup, we do have Demon King Piccolo. One of my favorite backups for Demon King Piccolo, it has to be this purple 21, right? I think she's a lot tankier. I don't think she does as much damage as DKP, but that DKP can go down fairly easily. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about this LF Yellow Piccolo. He gets a blue card at the 3rd turn after he transforms and everything. Is absolutely phenomenal for Regeneration. And if I do use Regeneration, I might use Regeneration just because I want to see how it works out and stuff like that. I'm going to put Z Power into that Piccolo right there so I can get him to Zenkai 7 and stuff like that, because he's at 6 stars right now. But overall, I feel like this team is very solid. And if you do not have this Piccolo at high stars or Zenkai 7 or anything like that, you have a couple options right here. So you can bring in this guy as your yellow. He still provides an amazing amount of support and stuff like that. Or you can bring in this guy, who's also a very old unit, whose Zenkai is accessible through the USTR shop. Another very good unit, right? So you have options here for yellows. You have a lot of filler units, and so these are just some of the units that are in S tier. And then when you look at Z tier, it's a little bit lackluster. I only got 4 units from Z tier in here, but either way, there's still filler units in here, right? Because instead of this guy running Buhan, or he's running 2 greens actually, I just run the 1 Fat Boo right there, and you can see I have a little bit of changes rather than this guy. I do have Super Baby 2. I think Super Baby 2 is almost like a must bring in my own opinion, but you know, that's just my that's just how I feel. Super Baby 2, I feel strongly about his hills and what he provides for the team. This yellow cell, I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I use him on all of my Android runs, and you know, he never really fails to disappoint. He can heal himself by 2% and stuff like. He also has a buff against Hybrid Saiyan. So this guy has a buff against Hybrid Saiyan, and I do believe someone else has a buff here, right? Hold on. Okay, so yeah, so this baby actually has a buff against Hybrid Saiyan, right? Hybrid Saiyan and Saiyan. And then not only that, but this Janemba also has a buff against sagas from the movies, where he gets minus 20% to damage received. That's pretty nice, right? Because we're going to go ahead and get into that later. Alright, so that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the map. So first of all, this is the map awareness and stuff like that, what paths you should take, what fights you should avoid, or what fights you should go into. First of all, there's going to be a lot of moviesteam. Going through the board and stuff like that, it's like literally the second fight, 5th stage, you have a movies fight. So I would say, once again, I always say this is that Bojacks are your main focus right here. Bojacks, you need to make sure to kill the red one first and then the purple. The reasoning for this is because this red Bojack has a higher key restore speed than this purple Bojack, meaning that he's going to attack first. He's going to get his blue card off on the second turn, so you want to kill him before that happens, and then you start targeting this guy so you can also kill him before he gets his blue card off. If you can pull that off, I feel like you can take down this team fairly easily. But it's very iffy. If you can't get those Bojacks out of the way early on and you take those supers, it's going to hurt your score a lot. Alright, so another team, like I said before, what did I tell you guys? These Sun family teams are making their way on the board and stuff like that. There's this one right here, and actually, let me go ahead and pull up one with 18. Okay, so this one with 18 too. There's Nap in there. He's kind of like an oddball mix in there, but he still buffs Saiyans, I do believe, right? Or something like that. But it's just that these teams can be very, very annoying as well, because like I said, Goten gets a super on turn 2, right? And Kaioken Goku gets it on turn 3. Plus, the Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku inflicts can't attack. There's been a lot of times where I took on this fight confident that I can get Goten out of the way first, and then I can start working on the Kaioken Goku, right? And then this stupid Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku has used his green card on my red units, and I was not able to attack with that red unit, and then Goten lives with like a sliver of health, and he's able to get his blue card off after transforming into a Super Saiyan, and then the run just kind of like turns to like crud, and it just is very, very frustrating overall, right? And then obviously the red Android 18 is going to constantly be healing and stuff like that. So I don't really have a direct approach for this. You kind of have to just pray that red kid, or the Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku doesn't inflict the can't attack on your red unit, and just take out Goten as quickly as possible, and then immediately move on to that Kaioken Goku before he can get his blue card. That's pretty much the main strategy from it, but once again, it can be very, very tricky overall. Just be aware of this team, especially if they have the Super Saiyan Gohan on there, the movie Gohan, because he's going to eat all the attacks from that very first turn, right? And it's I don't think I saw any with that movie Gohan, but just in case you guys do run into that, I would probably say just to avoid that one altogether. Another fight that I would like to mention, I don't think there's too many duplicates of this fight. There's probably a couple here and there on the board, but this fight may not look intimidating, and honestly, I would probably recommend going to this fight, but just completely be aware of these two units, right? The Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. He gets a blue on turn 2. Right, so you have to probably target him first, and then this full power Frieza gets a blue if you attack him with the blast. So the way to mitigate that easily is when you go into your units, you can go ahead and change the strategy on them. So instead of having blast units over here, like say I have Majin Buu on blast, this is going to be a sure way to get hit by that blue card, right? So let me just go ahead and click on that blast, hit strike, boom. You're all good to go for that specific fight. And then, of course, I always talk about this one, too. When you get onto this fight, this is a very good fight to take because it's very, very easy as long as you kill this guy first. Kill this Gohan, bro. I promise you guys, it'll make your life a whole lot easier. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it, right, as many times as I need to. But if you kill any other unit other than this Gohan, right, if you don't prioritize this Gohan first, he will get a blue card for every ally that you kill. So overall, there seems to be a lot of mixed hybrids teams, right? So there's these teams specifically, like it looks like Sun Family and stuff like that. Or, well, yeah, this is Sun Family, but I'm seeing a lot of hybrids just in general. Like some of these jumbo teams, like I've seen a lot of like Trunks and stuff like that. So Gokua might be someone that is of high value to you. If you're running androids, you might want to be running that purple cell and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. There is a lot of hybrids, and there's a lot of blues, a lot of reds, a lot of purples. So, you know, you might want to just start working around that a little bit. Alright, so for the final segment, let's talk about new characters. And yes, I know we didn't really get new characters, but we got new character kits, quote-unquote, right? Because we can go over to the wiki, or to the DBZ space, right? And we have this Beerus, this new Beerus Zenkai right here. And so we can go ahead and take a look at his kit, because usually they do upgrade it. They give him a new unique ability, right? Prior, because when you're in base, he doesn't get all that extra stuff. So with his Zenkai, he still keeps all this. First turn, he gets 30% to blast damage. Second turn, 50% to blast damage. Third turn, 60%, which is a pretty good ramp up, I would say. I don't think that's too bad. Then he also gets this bonus right here, is 15% to damage inflicted for 2 turns after receiving an attack, as well as minus 15% to damage received for 2 turns. That only activates 3 times, but it's still fine. And then he gets this new unique. So he gets, at the start of the turn, he's going to start putting debuffs. So he inflicts attribute downgrade minus 50% to strike damage received, which is weird considering that he is a blast-based unit. And then he also gets inflicts attribute downgrades minus 30% to key recovery, which is actually pretty good because he's going to essentially nerf the enemy team's attack order, right? So they're going to, because key recovery or key restore speed and stuff like that, that's what determines who attacks first and all that good stuff. Overall, very, very mediocre. I don't think he's an amazing Zenkai or a standout Zenkai in terms of ToP, right? And then, so the next one we got was this Vegeta right here, this GT Vegeta. So let's go ahead and take a look at his kit. I don't think too much got changed here, just a couple like adjustments and stuff like that. 30% to damage inflicted, minus 10% to damage received at the start of turn. On Blast Arts attack, he inflicts attribute downgrade plus 20% to blast damage received for 1 turn. And then he has this second unique after receiving a strike or Blast Arts attack. For his own self buff, he gets 10% to blast damage inflicted. And at the start of the second turn, all enemies get a debuff. Inflicts attribute downgrade plus 20% to damage received. And then minus 50% to health restoration. This is actually pretty good. I would say this is actually... He probably would be runnable. I feel like he would actually be viable on a GT team. I'm not too sure. This doesn't seem too terrible to me. I feel like he would definitely take a yellow spot maybe. I'm not too sure because Nova is really good for this as well because he has that bubble shield that's going to that basically wards off blast attacks and strike arts, right? So I'm not too sure if he would actually replace him, but he's definitely going to be a good option, especially considering the fact that he's free to play, right? So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this guide on ToP 15. Another thing to keep in mind is that some people did not get their rewards, right? Some people did not get the rewards from last season. Don't worry, they're going to fix it. I think they already put a notice out for it and stuff like that. So just definitely don't lose your cool. You're going to be okay and stuff like that. They wouldn't just jip all you guys like that anyways. And so you also have a different goal to be working towards right here. I discussed this in a video that I already had done. But now the ranking rewards are going by percentage, right? So there's a Z League top 5%, a Z League top 25%, a Z League top 35%, and a Z League top 50%, right? So League is a lot more important now. I think this is better overall because it's giving a lot more players the opportunity to get the 1000 CC. I think that's the best choice that they could have made for this game mode. Let me know what you guys think of the update and stuff like that. And that being said, if you enjoy the content, let me know by leaving a like, a comment, maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!